That's okay.
There we go.
We can introduce
There
people
is Puzzle.
The top right-hand side from Team Liquid, leading 1-0, it is Liquid Rhett.
Leading 1-0 in pretty dominant fashion, too.
Yeah.
He just kind of did what he wanted with that game. He responded perfectly to that fake 3-base, 2-base all-in. And then from there, he just had the game in hand, and he knew it. He kept throwing units at his opponent.
Yep.
Yeah, honestly, it looked kind of ugly just because he knew he could keep wearing him down as he got up to 5-base and Hive behind it. He didn't have to be pretty about it because he had the game in such good control, and he knew exactly what he had to do to win.
It looked ugly in the sense that Zerg units were dying, but I mean, this is something that we kind of talk about across the board for Zerg. It's so important to trade cost effectively. You're going to be maxed, you're going to have a lot of units out there, and you don't want them to go up against like a 4 or 5 Colossus army pre-Brood Lords. You want to get rid of them and trade them for sentries if you can, but you'll take Stalkers, you'll take Zealots, and basically you'll force the hand of Puzzle to spend his money where he doesn't want to. He wants to be in that more passive game where he can cultivate his army into that death ball that you and Artosis talk so much about.
You do want to get up towards that death ball because it is somewhat imbalanced.
Yes, well.
And Nexus, not a Nexus first, actually coming down to Forge first. This is weird, all 3 go Forge first.
This map's good for the cannon rush.
Yeah, I suppose, and with the pylon here perhaps, but it is also a map where you can 100% get away with Nexus first.
Yeah.
You see a lot of foreign Protosses opting to do that, but Grim,
that
this
probe's
pro
got to be
is
careful.
very low health. He is actually going to run away. He can't put down this hatchery. But if he does put that hatchery there, then there is the great cannon rush position here that Puzzle might take advantage of.
And that's exactly right. I do think Puzzle will, I was going to say circle around and maybe look to do that, but maybe he's just happy with the hatch delayed as it is. I mean, the second hatch going down at the third does put the Zerg in a little bit of a pickle. And with the Nexus going down at roughly the same time, advantage Protoss for right now. I mean, the Forge first, of course, delays the Nexus by a chunk of time, but not the biggest of deals.
Defensive cannon and the gateway coming down, so there's no way he's going to be going for any kind of cannon rush. The Zerglings out as well, steering the natural. So I would say Red has ended up in the more comfortable position here. Which Forge first, as you said, delaying the Nexus.
Yeah. And
then getting this hatchery going down, so there's no way he's going to be going for any kind of cannon rush. The Zerglings out as well, steering the natural. So I would say Red has ended up in the more comfortable position here. Which Forge first, as you said, delaying the Nexus.
Yeah.
And then getting this hatchery out undelayed. It is at the third base, but this probe was not able to stay there and buy any time. Oh, he's sneaking around.
He's
this
thinking about it.
definitely looks like, but Rhett's completely on top of that. The Zerglings come down immediately. They see the probe. That probe will go down. And there's a little bit of a cost in that for Puzzle. He doesn't have this hidden out on the map. There's no potential for a probe, or for a forward pylon right now. And no potential for any later scouting. He's just going to die right here.
And I'll tell you what, that's one of the things that makes Rhett such a good player. Every time I see him play as ZVP or I get to experience it firsthand, he's very good about tracking down those probes and really covering his bases. I think that's something that, I mean, just the last series we saw Hero lose a third hatch because of not really pursuing that information. And here with Rhett, it's not a possibility.
Absolutely. He's so conscientious about that early game. And really, as Zerg, you have to be, because one cannon rush, one unscouted pylon can be the end of the game early on for you. Just no reason to let that happen. You have those Zerglings out there, might as well use them intelligently, and Rhett always, always does. Now,
it is going to be a gasless 3-base for Rhett, and again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I really think the last game went swimmingly for him. It was a 2-base timing with that third Nexus cancel. For Puzzle, let's talk about his options. I don't know if he likes the Blink Stalker against Rhett. I mean, Rhett had an infestation pit that never really got used in his defense of that. He was even saturating a fourth. These are things you don't want to do if you're trying to hold off that kind of a timing.
Right, his macro hatch was even late.
Yeah.
Just like he should not have had enough units to hold that off. The fake third Nexus slows it down a little bit, but 400 minerals, that's a handful of Stalkers. It's not that big of a deal. That rush, I don't think it would work, even if it was a dedicated 2-base all-in. And as you said, Rhett was playing greedier than you're really supposed to. And it is a Stargate build this time. It will not be another Blink Stalker all-in.
And Rhett's going to see exactly when those gases do go down. Will he get information specifically if he's facing a Stargate build? I don't think so. This cannon's kind of in the way. The sentry coming out is certainly potential.
To the Stargate. He does see the Stargate.
Oh, well, okay. Sometimes I forget that Overlords actually see everything. It does spot the Stargate, which is an early alarm for Rhett. Meanwhile, a Stalker's poking and prodding at that Queen over here, but it's unaided, so it'll be just purely a scout at this time. No speed on the way for Rhett. But getting that Stargate red at this early stage, I mean, what do you do as a Zerg player? What's your best way to capitalize on that?
You make drones and a fourth hatchery at least a little bit later. Yeah, drones are the counter to any air unit because you just put up a Spore Caller, you have a couple extra Queens, which you usually have anyway, and the air units just aren't going to do anything. Your only fear at this point is getting caught off guard by 5 or 6 Phoenix. And I imagine that is what, we do have a Phoenix on the way.
Yeah.
I imagine that is what Puzzle will do. He loves having that group of Phoenix out because it really takes advantage of his multitasking. He can run around and harass all over with them.
Also the fast robo, this is something we've seen, I mean, as early as MVP Genius doing in the GSL, but it's kind of like a, hey, I'm going Stargate, you need to react to this. Sometimes you'll get fast Hydras out of players, and I will say this, Rhett has been known to try to do a Roach Hydra timing against a Stargate build. But then you follow it up with pretty quick Immortals, a third base, and a Colossus, and then, as you said, sometimes we even see these Korean Protoss players just go for the two-base bust.
Yeah, Korean players have been really liking this build recently, the fast Stargate into the very fast Robo. In fact, we see Younghwa often go 5 Phoenix with no Void Ray and then into immediate Robo almost every game. That's his go-to PvZ build. If he does something else, it's a variation on that. And so a lot of Korean Protoss players really, really like that build. It's very versatile. It does have some weaknesses. If you get caught off guard by a Roach Hydra timing with perfect macro, sometimes Roach Hydra drops. It can punish you. But if you react to everything well, if you have good control, you can deal with just about anything. The only problem I have with it is very passive. If there is any aggression, it's going to be a 2-base Colossus, which is very, very delayed. So
I got to say, I mean, there's 5 gateways in the Robo going up behind this. There's still, oh, there it is. There's a robotic space. So I do think, I mean, at 6 gates you can expand, but after a Stargate and a Robo, that's really hard to justify.
That's an incredibly late expansion.
Yeah.
And he is going Hydra Warren, so if Red overcommits to the Hydras, that 2-base Colossus all-in could be very powerful.
Just call it a Hydra Warren, you
Hydra
silly
den.
goose.
Wasn't a Hydra Warren?
You need to make more Hydralis.
No, you don't. Didn't you see Domingo's interview? They're a trap.
They are a trap. Now, Zerglings are going to poke and prod at the front of the Protoss base and see that he's buttoned up quite nicely. As Zergling after third shows, okay, what's going on behind the Stargate? Now, some creep tumors are getting targeted down by Puzzle. Brilliant move. I really
nice
like
move.
that.
Yeah, creep spread is so incredibly important. It's kind of underutilized in ZVP. Everyone knows how good it is ZVT, but it's starting to get more and more used ZVP, so absolutely shut down there.
I mean, I got to say, Puzzle's kind of manipulating Rhett right now. We have Hydralis coming out, as many as 10. There are melee upgrades, but just on 3 bases is Rhett, and no macro hatch again. So he's going to be in a tough situation. If Colossus step out here, he's not going to have a lot of larvae to switch it up and react.
You're right. The macro hatchery is really, really odd, particularly from a player like Rhett. You know, he has the income to support it. He really needs those larvae. There it goes. Once again, I guess this is just a style he's been using. He prefers to put down that 4th hatchery at a 3rd base. Well, a 3rd Nexus from Puzzle. So he's not going to do a 2-base Colossus all-in. However, he has started that Colossus production very early on. That means that his 4 Colossus timing will be coming earlier than you expected.
I mean, you know what the Hydros do, though, as well, is they prolong any kind of like infestor tech or something like that. And with that Colossus count already being built on, it's just such a deadly composition.
Yeah, no infestation pit yet. Also no Spire, so no access to Corruptors anytime soon. And a pretty
Still
big
Hydralis.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a lot. Infestation pit and Spire coming down just now. But that's a lot of gas that he's been putting in those Hydras, and he has actually forgotten to take the 2nd gas at his natural. That's a pretty big blow to him. I don't know. Red might be hard-pressed to hold off a big Colossus time coming up here.
I mean, Puzzle is shaping up to be in beautiful position. These Phoenix have killed Overlords across the globe.
And they're all still alive. One nearly died, but I don't believe he's lost a Phoenix just yet. That is the strength of Puzzle's multitasking. He's just so fast. He can do everything at once.
Starting to look more like Marvel versus Capcom 3 Phoenix. Really, really good. Very strong. Shout out to my fighting game brothers that are apparently not in this place. That's okay, though. You guys are at home.
They're watching at home.
2 Colossi are out.
That's so many Hydras from Red. You really just, you don't want that composition versus Roadhouse. You want to be trading those units away.
Does he go Corruptor from here, do you think? I mean,
you almost have to. With how many Colossus is he at now?
Just
I guess
2.
he's at 2, and he hasn't started adding any. That is a small enough army that you can't overwhelm it on the ground. But if it gets much more than 2 Colossus, you absolutely have to mix in Corruptors.
I mean, Rhett has double expand. The Void Ray knows about the lower right-hand side base, and the Phoenix have alerted the Protoss player to that middle base as well. So the Protoss feels compelled. I just don't think he can sit back with that kind of double expansion going up. No Warp Prism out here, and there is no probe with this army, so I'm not quite sure what his plan is to resaturate.
Maybe he's just poking to try and scare him.
Yeah.
He is adding more Colossus. He would be saving up all his units for Stalker Warp Ins if he were going to attack, I believe.
This could be, I mean, here's the problem with Hydralis as well. They're so hard as the game goes on to trade cost effectively. He might want to just keep those for the Broodlords. I've seen some Zergs do that as well. But that means he needs to get rid of his Lings and Roaches. And again, with Colossus, it's getting really hard to do that cost effectively.
Yeah, Puzzle's army, as long as he gets the timing, he's just going to be so scary. However, Hive has completed. It's going to complete and there come Corruptors on the way. This timing is getting pretty iffy. That 3rd base, not particularly well defended, not a complete wall off. Counterattacks can buy him quite a bit of time there. Rhett may have enough time to get up to Broodlords here, but he has no Spine Crawler wall, and it's going to take a while to get up to enough Broodlords to actually hold off the ground army by itself. But Puzzle just putting down a 4th Nexus. Maybe he doesn't want to attack at all.
It's very interesting.
Maybe he's comfortable going for a late game macro.
He just scouted.
Is coming out as well.
Yeah, he just actually flew by the Spire and saw that it's not morphing into a greater Spire. So maybe he's saying to himself, okay, I have enough time to get out an additional base and really just kind of, he wants to hit as Broodlords are taking shape. And look at this. I mean, it's just not even starting. I really think Rhett thinks he has to do some kind of non-Broodlord timing. It's weird to call it a timing, but I guess he just needs to attack with that army.
And that's not going to go so well for him.
No, I don't think so.
There's just too many Colossus out now. Those Hydras are going to do almost nothing. Puzzle is not going to miss force fields, and he's been building up Sentry mana all game long. And these Phoenix, I was watching it before, they've just continued to do damage. They just killed the Queen in the main. They've continued to pick off Overlords. He's only lost 1 all game. Just done so much damage. When you look at the kill count, 7 on some, 3 on others. Just so much damage from that small investment early on.
I think they both might max. The Greater Spire just now going in Festers.
I think it might have been a mistake just misclicking the Greater Spire because he already has a bunch of Corruptors out, and he's not looking to attack. It looks like he wanted to have Broodlords out by now. And
he could be nervous about a Protoss attack too because you want those Corruptors, I guess.
A War Prism going into the main, absolutely undefended, completely unscouted. 4 Zealots unload, and he's ready for a big warp in. Lots of Zealots. He's actually targeting down the Hive. At the same time, Phoenix in the bottom right, that can do drone harass. He does go in. The multitasking of Puzzle is just incredible, doing everything at once.
And Greg, you called this even targeting down the Hive. Actually, could they get this Hive? That would be such a huge hit to Rhett. Roach's Lings are getting in here.
It's going to be really, really close.
It's down at 200 health. It's at 100 health. 4, 5, it does go down. Oh,
the Hive falls. He's lost drones down here. The gas mining is not complete. And he has this big army that just keeps building. He has a mothership on the way, continuing to upgrade. He's now established 4 bases. Just Rhett's kind of lost control of this. Puzzle's in absolute control.
He is.
No drones here as well. I'm not really sure what's going on with Rhett's income. Only 74 Harvesters. Once again, Puzzle is ahead in the worker count.
He's filthy rich. I mean, he does have the money to make the army he needs, but the problem, again, Greg, we've been talking about this all through our PVZs, is he's stuck on this army.
Yeah.
If he attacks with it, it opens up a timing where the Protoss says, oh, okay, and then just attack moves and wins.
Yeah, I think he almost has to attack while he still has Corruptors to thin out the Colossus count. But then he's just, like you said, he's going to have a timing where he's going to warp in a bunch of Stalkers and go try and kill him. And another big warping down here, a bunch of Zealots. This is what Puzzle loves to do. He really, really loves Zealot harass into the late game. He's doing so much damage here. At the same time, Phoenix coming into the 3rd base.
Killing every drone. The drone count for Rhett is actually getting a little bit lower than he's comfortable with, 70. The army of the Protoss player is hovering at the 12 o'clock area, but Broodlords are getting morphed in here, and because of that bank from the Zerg player, he's got the army he wants. 9
Broodlords.
Excuse me, that's not totally true. But he has a good army with the Broodlords. Now, if the Hydras can anchor this and stop a blink underneath from doing any damage, this is still a dangerous Zerg army.
That is a big, scary army. The mothership is out. I'm not sure where it is, but it's only going to have 1 Vortex max. It's sitting back here building up mana. It will have a Vortex.
We do have Zealots inside the main base, or at least the former main base of the Zerg player. This 4th is going to get abandoned. Puzzle, you are so smart.
That's absolutely
I want to buy you a drink. Of course, you wouldn't drink that because you're so smart. You know that it's only empty calories and poisonous toxins.
Zealots in the main, taking out the replacement hatchery. The army of Red is just moving forward. That is a big, scary army.
Yeah.
It's going to be very hard to engage into this for Puzzle. But he's doing the right thing. He's just sitting back, waiting for the proper engagement. He knows Rhett's almost all in on this army. But that's just so many units, so many overseers. Nothing is going to catch him off guard.
I'm actually worried. I mean, those Hydros actually at this point are so dangerous. At a weird angle, the Zerg could just crush the Protoss army. The 3rd base is under siege.
This is not where Puzzle wants to fight.
No, he feels compelled, though. He might go for it. Where's the Vortex? He's got the energy for it. He's not doing it.
Messed up. That would be a great Vortex right here.
But he couldn't get Archons in there, so he's just trying to kind of clean this up. Fungals are going down. Meanwhile, the main base has been cleaned up.
He keeps backing away.
There's the Vortex. No Broodlords. There's no Broodlords in there. That's just a ground army. And with the Broodlords behind, they're dealing one-way damage. But right now, actually, the Colossus are cleaning up a lot of this. Does he have enough Stalkers?
He can blink forward. He has a lot. He does blink forward. He's targeting down. And at the same time, the units come out of the Vortex.
Great focus fire.
Not enough.
No, but he's whittling this down, and he's doing a beautiful job. But does he lose the 3rd Nexus, too? It looks like it's not getting targeted.
It's cloaked. The Overseers are here. He blinks forward, and he is going to clean this up.
Oh, he loses the Mothership. An expensive loss there. It looks like he will save the Nexus. I mean,
the last Broodlord falls. He does save the Nexus.
Yeah.
He does save 3 of his Colossus. Not a huge bank, but we see Rhett's down to 136 supply. The main is gone. Only this base and this base running fully. No drones here. He's continuing to warp in units.
Well, you might have actually overstepped your bounds there, Puzzle. Roaches coming at
Big
you.
warping
Oh,
coming
and
from behind, and still 2 Colossus alive.
I mean, yeah, but one got focused down. The next one gets shot down as well. And these roaches are on the warpath. They're just at 2 armor, no range upgrade. Good focus down, though, from our Protoss player at 3 attack upgrade. The Infestors have no energy, and I think Puzzle will hold here. Does he focus on the Nexus?
Could fall, but he's not going to focus the Nexus now. And it stays alive at 120
And now the
health,
Infestors are here.
Cleaned up. Yeah, this is not going well for Red. He can't continue to throw units away. He has a lot of bank, but he just...
Look at the Zerg player.
Yeah,
lower right-hand side, base was killed, main base was sacked, the spawning pool was destroyed.
Yeah, at the same time Puzzle was doing that last-ditch defense, he was also warping in units constantly. He was running around with his Phoenix. He was just killing everything everywhere. The Greater Spire is still there, but Ret, he's making a bunch of Corruptors, but I don't know if he has time to actually build up that scary army again.
Puzzle is top left.
Speed Prism at 3 health, still running around being annoying for Puzzle.
There's one at 6 o'clock. Yep. I mean, all these bases are under siege at the same time. Greg, you talked about the multitask of Puzzle. I think this game is putting that on display in convincing fashion. And we have that death ball from the Protoss once again taking shape. The mothership has been re-entered into the world.
2 Warp Prisms at the same time for Puzzle. He also has 4 Archons in his main army now, so that's a lot beefier than it used to be. But as you said, top left is running. Warp in here, a warp in here. Going to take down drones, going to take out this, probably going to take out this hatchery again. The army of Ret responds. It will take, oh, the Warp Prism does survive, and he forces a cancel on the hatchery. Just everything going right for Puzzle here.
Yep. And he's actually targeting down drones at this natural. Look at this. He's actually killed 55 drones and counting. And that really upsets Ret. He loves his drones.
He does. He is very protective of them. And 55 of them down in return for only 9 probes.
I mean, here it is. He kicked the bee's nest. Now, there are Corruptors in the sky, but I don't know if there's enough roaches on the ground.
Another mothership out. Just such a big, scary army. 4 Archons, 2 Colossus, a bunch of Stalker support. He is moving up here. This is a relatively undefended base, but army
Well, that's a photon cannon, Greg.
That is a photon cannon, but it's not a Space Marine. So
well,
that may be
it's
too
dead.
much for it.
Yeah.
And,
goes down.
But army versus army, Puzzle still wins this fight handily. 190 supply to 140 for Ret. Ret knows this and actually just runs out. He's going to try and
It's a bad angle. It's a bad angle. He's taking so many shots from those Colossi.
Interesting vortex. It doesn't really, he would have won that fight even without the vortex, and he's just cleaning this up. Not even going to lose the mothership to the Corruptors.
It's like a celebratory vortex or something like that. There's no escape. You're either going to die to my Protoss army or enter into a black hole. And actually, there's some Corruptors in there. They would have focused down.
Actually, I take that back. It was a good vortex. It saved the mothership. I didn't realize he got all the Corruptors.
GG.
Ret, GG's.
And I'll tell you what, some players get rattled when they lose that first game and they fall back and are just kind of worried about their future. Puzzle played beautifully.
That was a warm-up. That first game?
Yeah.
Did not care at all. He came back. He played absolutely perfectly on Daybreak. He was kind of in an uncomfortable position early on. It looked like he might have wanted to go 2-base Colossus. Then he realized that Red had enough stuff to just overwhelm it. So he put down a 3rd Nexus. Like you said, 6 gateways and Robo after opening up with air units. That's a pretty big investment to then take a 3rd Nexus off of. But he just put it down. He played with the game. He harassed beautifully. And perfect decision-making from Puzzle.
Beautiful decision-making. Guys, let's give another shout-out to our sponsors, Interceptor Group, Cyberactive, Esports Canada, and, of course, those that make NASL possible, Epson, Azo, Kingston HyperX, GameMinder, and iBuyPower. We're going to go to a commercial break, and when we come back, it's going to be game number 3.